signature of the priest Bérenger Saunière. By rearranging the order of the letters and words, Ben said he was able to decipher some hidden messages within the text. I have entered a tunnel in the mountain and found tombs of the Knights of the Temple and the Cross. The Knights protected a great secret in written manuscripts which I have found. The enemies are not the heretics, but the church in Rome. I have abandoned and renounced my false church. I have done what I've done to preserve the secret. Maybe in the future the time will come for the secret to be revealed. Now, how are you feeling by now you found the second one? When you found the second one?
It's hard to describe. It's I don't know how to describe it. It's like wolf, you know. It's, I don't know. It's awesome. It seems a cliche word, but it's, you know, it just makes you shiver. You know, it's.
Having solved the first two parts of the key, Ben then deciphered the riddle in the latest clue.
Enter the cave beneath the Blackfoot and the helmet. To reveal the place here to dig, does the boy on bended knee.
The Blackfoot, the boy on bended knee and the helmet were all shown in the Stations of the Cross in the church at Rene le Chateau. These led him to a helmet-shaped rock known locally as the Guardian, high on a mountain not far from the village. At the foot of the rock, Ben discovered a small triangular grotto, just like the one shown in the church, in which he discovered another marker stone pointing to a large boulder.
What, mind your feet? Stay with it, that's it. But there's a bottle underneath it.
Just.
They didn't tell you they did that.
Cool, that's heavy, isn't it? Yeah. Found a bottle, Sandy.
The bottle was under the huge rock which almost killed Ben.
Yes, honestly.
I
don't believe it.
Bottle.
Finally.
Keep it in that pouch if you want.
Number 3. Or what we think is number 3.
I think, you know, the question that everyone's going to have is that this stuff looks amazing. Why you? I guess they'd suspect that it's a big hoax, because, you know, there's so many hoaxes around this mystery.
Yes, but I mean, it's not a hoax. I did not bury these. I believe Sonia was responsible for these. We know he went walking along all over the landscape, doing whatever he was doing, searching or planting these. We have photographs of him in certain locations where these were found. It's, I think they're genuine Sonia artifacts.
And why you? I mean, why not Henry Lincoln or all these other people who are searching for treasure?
You've got to get it. I mean, look outside it. I'm here in the middle of it. I'm here walking the landscape. I'm here following the clues in the church. It's not that I've just gone and looked at it and immediately found it. You know, there's been work, there's been disappointments, there's places I've searched and found nothing, you know, many places. It's just, it takes a while to get into the head of Sonia, but once you're in there, it sort of clicks.
Just be careful, you've pulled the paper up and you've started creasing it. No, you're going to have to break the glass.
No, I'm going to break the cork.
Okay, careful of the paper now.
I think you're going to damage the paper.
We certainly are, but we're going
to
get it out anyway.
No, we need to crack the bottle. No. Don't. Can I open that and see what's in there? I can't believe this.
The Vers histoire. I think that means the true history of the crucifixion and the resurrection. Jesus did not die on the cross, but 22 days afterwards.
The resurrection of Jesus was a trick. It was Mary Magdalene who took his body from his tomb. The disciples were fooled. Later, the body of Jesus was discovered by the Templars and then hidden 3 times. Rome knows all about this, but they cannot afford to let the secret be known. They threaten to kill if the location of the tomb is revealed.
Oh yeah?
After several weeks together, I got a call from a worried Ben.
Yeah, thanks for coming, Bruce. I just had a, second thoughts. I've just been worried about the filming and all that, because of, the stuff that's happened in the past.
Let's walk up. What's happened in the past?
Well, when I was at Rene le Chateau, when I first discovered the tomb and that, I had the brakes cut on my van, and I had to leave it at a campsite overnight, and I actually stayed in a hotel.
Right.
But when I went back in the morning, the van had been broken into, which wasn't very hard. You only had to slide the windows back and put your arm in. But I had a roll of film taken and a tape out of my video camera, though the video camera and the other camera was left. And about a week after that, someone turned up at my house. He says, I've been sent by someone you met in France. But he turned out and he wanted information now about what I was, how I found it and where it was and all this. I mean, I told him to, go, and I shut the door in the end.
Do you think you're in over your head?
Yeah, maybe. What I'll do, Bruce, I'll go away and I'll give you a call, okay?
All right.
All right then, mate. Thanks for meeting.
Be careful, Ben.
Yeah, and you, Bruce.
I hoped he was going to tell me that he was going to take me to the tomb. But he's clearly too spooked right now from he thinks he's being tailed. Stolen tapes, they cut his brakes, they've come to his house. I mean, he's in fear for his life and his family. I've got to find out whether this tomb is real or not. But if people are trying to menace him, then maybe they know something I don't. Let's go back to the car.
Although he was still worried about the threats against him, we eventually returned to the area. And using clues from the last message, Ben uncovered a 4th bottle buried in the ground.
If I hold it up to the light, you can see the message inside.
Oh yeah.
It's a big one again, like the second one by the look of it, because it seems to go into the neck, and it's resting on where it's a blown bottle, there's a big lip inside.
Yeah.
So I think I'll clean that off first. I'll clean the dirt off. If I run it in the sink.
Yeah.
Oh,
beautiful.
That's a good one. Oh, it's broke all the way round, but it's... Didn't get you a glass, did I? All right. We're still not going to get... I'm going to have to See,
Take the
it's
whole-
cracked all the way, so I'm going to take the whole top off. Oh,
Ah,
Well,
this
we,
is the moment of truth.
right.
that's it.
Let's just move this out of the way. Oh.
The parchments of Ave Bigu, the cup of Jesus and Mary Magdalene, and the anointing jar. But it's basically seems to be pointing to that these three things might be here in this box, right?
Look, it's saying grotto, and there's a sister there. So there's a chest in the grotto. And if we look, we've got like a cross J and an M, but it could be like a funny T, back to front T. And on the altar painting of Mary Magdalene in the church, we have this. We have the J with a cross T on it, and we have the M.
So you think that those things on the altar
Match these.
match those? Is where she is a real place?
Yes.
Was Saunier trying to tell us? Was he trying to give us a specific location
Yes.
of what?
An entrance.
We hiked across the valley from Rene le Chateau up towards what's known as the Cave of the Magdalene. And when we got there, we realised that when you look back at the entrance, it matches the shape of the cave in the Clou, almost exactly. And Bill Kersey, who's a friend of Ben's, did a dowsing
Is it there, Bill?
and found a spot where he thought there was something large buried in the ground, which is where Ben dug.
What do you think, Bruce? Do you reckon anyone's dug here?
No.
Hear that?
Yeah. What do you think it is?
That sounds wood to me. It's wood and hollow, which is what we want.
Oh, can you pass me
It
the,
is
the
wood.
lighter as well?
Yeah.
Just tap it.
How big is it? How big?
Yeah, it is a box. Yeah, here it comes.
I think I just pulled the lid up then. So it can't be locked.
Okay, hold on. What you're doing is you're pulling the top off. You see, there's a. Oh yeah, and we're letting earth in. Oh, you're pulling. It's opening halfway. Okay. Pop it out, Dan. Can you pop it over here?
Alright, Bill, not too rough for it, just in case there's any.
I'm going to slip into
It's amazing. How do you feel?
I want to open it. Should we open it here or?
Yeah, absolutely.
What about, have you got your filming going?
Yeah, I'm live and.
Alright, you ready? You can see. Can you see, Bill?
Just give 1 second.
I can see,
Okay,
I got that funny light.
we're there. So this could be the first time in 100 years.
Look at the hinges, Bill.
Wow.
I think just stop it. I might break the hinges. Should I just try and work it? Oh my God.
This is the key.
I'm stunned.
Because this could be
That is
the most important find, well, in this mystery. Okay, so what can we say? I
just want to hold the cup of. If it is a cup of Jesus.
Careful.
I'll put that in there, but I think it's on a rock.
Okay.
It's a bit mouldy.
What is it made of?
Pottery, yeah.
It's got a crack down one edge.
And there's a scroll.
And there's
we'll leave the scroll till we get back.
And the coins.
We'll have to go back.
Yes.
It's old. And this is, it looks like the ointment jar.
Old. Yes.
I don't know what to...
It's something else.
How do you feel?
I can't believe it, actually. No, it doesn't seem possible.
So, I propose a toast.
Propose away.
To Ben.
To Ben finding the books.
Cheers.
Onwards and upwards.
Skull.
Is to finding things. Was it Saint Anthony and the Hermit is the saint of finding things? Yes, things that are lost. Cheers, Saint Anthony.
So what's the plan now then?
Right, the plan is now...
What about the other end? Crack the other end and take it?
No, I think just pour it and then draw it out.
Open it up. Oh, that looks interesting.
I was going to use tweezers to unravel it, but I thought my fingers would do less damage. Inside the vial was a small roll bit of old parchment. On it was a hand-drawn layout of the church at Rene le Chateau, and there was an arrow pointing down to a regalis crypta, a royal crypt. So at some stage, there must have been a very important body down there. And given the legends about her being buried in the area, did the two M's mean it was Mary Magdalene? And if it did, had Sonia discovered her and then buried some relics from her tomb in the wooden chest, including the actual jar of perfume which she used to anoint the feet of Jesus? Abby, good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Welcome.
How are you?
Good. How was the flight?
Excellent. Tiring.
We flew to London to meet with Israeli archaeologist Dr. Gabriel Barkai, one of the world's top experts on ancient relics from Jerusalem, who'd agreed to analyse the contents of the chest.
This is incrustation on the inside, and then the outside, which is good Jerusalemite stuff. It most probably originates from a tomb. The collection includes a small bottle-like vase, which is an unguentarium. It was for perfumes, which were meant to counter-effect the odors inside a burial cave. The second one is a bowl with an outflaring rim with a small flat base. The third object is an elongated glass bottle which belongs to the type known as alabastra. It is made of glass, imitating alabaster prototypes. They are no doubt from the vicinity of Jerusalem, or generally from Judean origin, from the 1st century BC. I had a look also at the coins. They also seem to be Palestinian. I had the impression that several of them are Byzantine in date, that is early Christian, belonging to very generally 5th, 6th centuries AD. And one of the coins seemed to be a silver coin of the Crusaders in Jerusalem, the Jerusalem Kingdom. Now this is an important piece. This is one of the coins of the Roman procurators. Again, you see the flan, which has the diagonal side. There's the Jerusalem mint. There's one of the Roman procurators in Judah, a palm tree on the other side, the palm branch here.
When would this date from?
This is 1st century.
AD?
Yes. It's very interesting. I'm very happy that I saw it with my own eyes. I'm very happy. My impression would be that it could have been either purchased in modern time in the antiquities market somewhere in present-day Israel and brought over to Europe. Another possibility is that it was discovered in the past in an unknown way and then transferred to Europe. So it is possible. It is possible. It would be not out of the question that artifacts excavated by the Templars, Knight Templars in Palestine or even in Temple Mount, would find their way to Europe. The finds in this chest are really intriguing, and it is really something that inflames the imagination. Whether it is connected to the historical Jesus or not, time will tell. Thank you very much.
The production office in Los Angeles got the results back from Oxford University's Carbon-14 lab, who'd analysed the small roll parchment in the vial.
There's a 68.2% probability that the parchment dates from between 1440 AD and 1480 AD, and a 95.4% probability that it dates from between 1430 AD and 1520 AD. It's great results.
That second line is AURF.
Okay, hold on. Flowers gold.
Ben had managed to translate the text on the far left-hand side of the parchment. It read, "Here you begin to undertake a search for the secret tomb and treasure which I've guarded, and by the act of finding it, you become its guardian." The cup, the small ointment jar, and the alabaster vial were all authentic 1st century relics from in or around Jerusalem. That much we now knew. But how did they end up in that chest in France? Was it even remotely possible that the priest had discovered them in the tomb of Mary Magdalene? And was that why the Shepherds of Arcadia painting was so important to the priory? Because it symbolized her actual tomb in the area. When I got back to France, I called the man from the Priory of Sion to get his take on Ben's discovery.
Hello?
Hi Nick, it's Bruce.
Hello, Bruce.
I mean, I really want to try and get down to, brass tacks, as it were.
Sure, go for it.
Does that tomb exist?
Is that which tomb? What, her tomb?
The tomb of Mary Magdalene.
Yes, it does.
And it's in the area.
It is in the area.
And did he get that from it, do you think?
I cannot think that he got it from anywhere else. And was it an object of veneration by subsequent sects and orders, etc.?
What about the cup?
Ditto.
Why? Because it would celebrate the marriage.
Absolutely.
And they would venerate them because it's symbolic of the marriage and the bloodline.
Yes.
Why us? Why did we get to do this?
You have approached this from an entirely different way from any other group, any other individual, any other team, any other inquirers. We're waiting for someone like you to come along.
If Nicholas Haywood was right, and the objects in the chest were taken from the tomb of Mary Magdalene in the area, then how were they connected to the tomb that Ben had discovered? According to the priest Saunier, he dug the earth to construct a passage to this Knight Templar tomb in the mountain, where he discovered beautiful things, a treasure and a corpse, the holy secrets and the sacred objects of the Jews. When you look at the images of Ben's tomb and hear the priest's words, you can't help but wonder whether they both stumbled upon the same place. The question is, could that be the remains of Mary Magdalene under the shroud?
Yeah. All right then, Pat. Yeah, well, thanks for the warning. Yeah, speak to you later, mate. Cheers.
What happened?
Well, that was Pat. He's a German mate of mine. He helps me out here sometimes. He's a Rene enthusiast. And there's this bloke who he knows from the German forum who said he knew where my tomb was and he knew who was inside, and he was coming out here to Rennes, and then he was going on to Jerusalem. But in Jerusalem, he was captured by someone, and his son was shot in front of him, and then he was shot.
Bloody hell.
But he said he knew where my tomb was, so was that why he was shot, or...?
In recent years, there had been a number of suspicious deaths connected to the Rene le Chateau mystery. The man who bought Saunier's house and estate in the village was killed in a violent car crash, and the man who bought it off him had his car riddled with bullets. Ben decided to go back to the tomb that night to try and see who or what was down there using a remote camera. And given the news from Jerusalem, he asked the cameraman and I to stand guard outside.
Is that everything?
That's everything, yeah.
Don't need anything else?
No. CD.
How long do you think you'll be?
Well, I've got to uncover it all first. dig it all out, the foam and everything. Probably a couple of hours, maybe a little bit longer.
Okay.
But if you wait here, I can find you again then.
It's the middle of nowhere, isn't it?
If you hear anything in the bush, it's probably just wild boar or something. Alright. It's over with. If I get any problems, I'll ring your mobile, okay?
Right. Right, we'll stay here. Alright, let him go off. We're staying here. We're not going with him.
I'll see you in a couple of hours then. An hour's work ahead of me. I'm going to turn it off for a while, dig it out as soon as I see the entrance, and I'll start filming again. There's lots of rocks. Over the other side. Oh, gold! I can see gold. Again. Try and do is lift the cloth up. Oh, I just saw it. Oh, yeah, I can see the teeth. Bloody hell. Oh, bloody hell, that's spooky. Oh, there's the mouth, eyes, the nose. Oh my God. Oh, that is spooky, that's horrible. Some sort of platform, reddish, pinkish. God, bloody hell. Come on. God, touch your arms in. Well, it looks like it's partially mummified. It certainly looks like there's skin on it. Oh, that is bloody. Oh. Yeah, that's the hands. Fingers. Open up, won't I? Oh, that's definitely fingers. And they look like they're crossed like the altar. Mary Magdalene. So this could be Mary Magdalene. Fucking hell, if that is. Yeah, the fingers definitely look overlapped. So awkward. Yeah, it's definitely fingers. Bloody hell. Alright, that is the entrance. Yeah, I think that is. It looks like a wooden beam, like a support, a lintel. Alright, job done. Thanks for that.
Wow. Wow.
I mean, that looks old.
That is incredible. Look at this, and you can. It's lying on this. What's this? Like?
Yeah, that looks like. There's a marble around here called rose marble. I think that's what, and that's what it looks like.
That is. So it's lying on a marble like plinth.
Yeah.
Look at that. I mean, can you get this stuff out?
No, they can't get in. There's no way in.
But you can't lift it out where the camera's gone down?
Oh no, the hole's too small. You know.
How big's the hole?
I don't know. Like that. What? A bit bigger than this monitor that we're looking
at. Oh, so it's just that's...
Yeah, that's right. Just big enough to get the camera down, really.
Well, it's amazing footage. Stunning. And it looks real to me. I mean, there is a corpse under that shroud. Just seems too hard to fake. Yes, you could put the items in there. You could perhaps even, find a mummified corpse. But who's going to put that huge marble slab in there? I mean, this tomb's out in the middle of nowhere. So, I know our critics are going to think this is crazy, but it's real. It is real. It exists. It's there. Are we being led?
I think you have been led from the day you set foot on this task.
This is the slow release. Is this the aim of the current circuit, the current release of information, is to let the next piece out?
Is it unique to us, or is it being disseminated across other?
At this point in time, it's unique to you.
This is probably all my DNA on that.
Look at the size of that one.
Yeah.
Can you see that, Aaron?
Yeah. Looks like it might be greyish in places.
It's a feral size. Okay.
We'd been able to collect some hair strands from the skull for DNA tests at Lakehead University in Ontario, Canada. There wasn't enough DNA to be able to establish either the age or gender of the corpse, but they were able to genetically map the origin of its ancestors to the Middle East.
Who do you think it is?
Well, it looks like a female to me, the shape of the face and that, and I think it could be Mary Magdalene because of the fingers.
Do you still want to go public? Do you still want to go ahead?
Oh, I need to go public to give me some sort of safety, I think. You know, even though I'm not giving out the location, I think this needs to be got out there as soon as possible, really.
Although Ben thought it could be Mary Magdalene, I wasn't so sure. But even if it was a Knight Templar or a member of the bloodline, it would still be a huge discovery. Armed with the latest footage and the DNA test, Ben and I hit the road to see what the experts thought. First stop was Cardiff in Wales, and a man who'd been investigating the Rene le Chateau mystery for 30 years.
Those are quite definitely vessels of some sort, cups, jugs.
Do they look religious at all? Religious sort of?
This one's a chalice, quite clearly.
This one here?
The one that, as a priest, I would use to administer the communion to you. If you, yeah, that isn't it, Trish? That's unmistakably a chalice. I'd put money on that. Serious money.
Reverend Lionel Fanthorpe is an Anglican priest who's fascinated with the whole bloodline mystery and its implications. I knew that he'd tell me straight away whether we had anything credible or not.
This is amazing footage. If this could by any chance be either her tomb or the tomb of one of the descendants in which the family heirlooms have been preserved, then it would be harmonious with the idea of Mary of Bethany, alias Mary Magdalene, being a wealthy woman. I would have said that this is extremely significant. It could, for me as a Wren researcher for over 30 years, this could be one of the most important and significant finds that has yet been made.
The way this body is simply just lying there under this shroud, it is not your common or garden burial.
Our next stop was Dr. Aidan Dodson at Bristol University in England, one of the world's most respected mummy experts, who'd recently discovered the remains of the pharaoh Ramses I.
It's almost lying in state.
Yeah,
isn't it? It's kind of lying on this.
That's exactly what it looks like. It's something.
And the people would kind of walk round and.
Yeah, and the very fact that it hasn't then been taken away, it suggests to me that there's this idea of some kind of veneration, because clearly, looking at the stones from the other side, it has been properly filled up. It was not just been abandoned.
Back in our edit suite in Los Angeles, I showed our footage to Professor Robert Eisenman, a world-renowned biblical scholar and the leading figure in the translation and publication of the Dead Sea Scrolls.
That looks really interesting because that's clearly a mummified corpse. But now you've got to ask other questions. You know, you have to carbon date that corpse. It isn't enough to take a strand of hair from that corpse and see if it's male or female and then make all sorts of suppositions on that basis. You have to go in there and carbon test it, see when it could have come from. It does look very, very mummified. That doesn't mean someone couldn't have picked up a mummified corpse, wrapped it in a Templar-like shroud, and put it there. My question is, okay, it's too perfect. Why is the shroud sitting there with the cross so you can see? Why in a wet climate like southern France hasn't that whole thing rotted away?
What do you make of that chest and the items in it?
Well, honestly, the chest worries me quite a bit. It seems a little too packed. A perfume vial, a bowl, this kind of thing. Why would someone put these things in there? All of the coins, etc., etc., etc. Now, I have no doubt that these things will turn out to be authentic in terms of what they are. But how did they get there? You know, what you have to do is you've got to go very carefully. You have to go step by step before you make any claims, because the whole world is waiting to laugh you out of the room. And you have to go really careful. I've been involved in things that were ultimately turned out to be frauds and forgeries and things like that. And these things can be very clever and very, very crafty.
I knew that the academic world were going to be very skeptical about Ben's discoveries. They weren't going to be happy with his belief that it's Mary Magdalene, and they were definitely going to have a problem with his amateur archaeology. But I can't help feeling that's just unfair. The world's museums are full of relics discovered by maverick adventurers like Ben Hammett, who just followed a hunch and pulled stuff out of the ground with their bare hands. Why do you have to have a PhD to uncover something truly remarkable?
The guardians of the walls are always going to try to protect the status quo. They have two choices. They can accept this and all its implications, or they can just say there's no evidence for this and maintain the trenches that they've built. But in that case, they'll be even more out of step with the people.
Has anyone ever called you a bad Christian, and how do you react to that?
It makes me sad to think that people out there think I'm there to attack the church, when in fact I'm bringing them a gift, if they could only perceive it, of reuniting the masculine and feminine at the very heart of the story. I asked a group once, I said, you know, what if this had been our model in Christianity? And one woman there was Polish, and she shook her head. She said, there would not have been a Holocaust. We would have had a whole different history if we had had that as our model. It could be the renewal of Christianity to have this story be told. What if the second coming is actually our renewed vision of who Jesus really was, and now we have him hand in hand with his partner, as in that window?
My last stop was perhaps the most important, a chance to show and discuss our discoveries with a senior and controversial member of the Christian Church.
Bishop Spong?
Yes, sir.
Bruce Burgess.
Glad to see you, Bruce.
I've got a camera with me. Is it okay if I come in?
Come on in.
Okay.
I think that traditional Christianity, that institutional form of Christianity, is probably dying. And I'm not sure that letting it die wouldn't be a good thing to happen, because I think when you look at the manifestations of traditional Christianity, they're not very life-giving. We've blessed slavery with the Christian scriptures. We've blessed anti-Semitism with the Christian scriptures. We stood by and watched Hitler destroy 6 million Jews. And then we were negative about women. And then we're negative about gay people, and we've been negative about left-handed people, and we've been negative about mentally ill people, and we've been negative about divorced people. The church has victimized a great number of people in this world. Now, how does that square with the portrait of Jesus drawn by the fourth gospel that says the purpose of Jesus is that we might have life and we might have it more abundantly? Is the way we treat gay people giving them life? Is the way we've treated women giving them life? We are in a rebellion situation because people aren't going to accept those definitions. I don't care what the Pope says. And so the traditional way in which we've told the Jesus story, I think is inaccurate, and I think it will die. But I don't think the Jesus story will die, and I don't think the power of a God presence in human life will die. I think he was a remarkable, remarkable human being.
It's been a hell of a journey. And I think that everything that's been found is really just a start. But I do think now that Jesus and Mary Magdalene were married. I think they did have children. I think Mary and the children did flee to France. And I think that they are buried there now. The cup and the jar are authentic first century relics from Jerusalem. The tomb is very real, and now we know that the corpse has a unique Middle Eastern DNA profile. And of course, what lies beyond that blocked up entrance could be the biggest discovery of all. And maybe the treasure that was smuggled out of Jerusalem. But we won't know anything until there's an excavation. So really, I've come as far as I can go. For the record though, I do think that it's possible that these discoveries, especially the chest and maybe even the tomb, was somehow placed there for Ben and for us to find. That doesn't make them fake in any way. It just means that someone with an agenda wants this material revealed. But who? I think the jury's still out on the Priory of Zion. They might be real, or they might just be a convenient front for something else. But there was something that Nicholas Hayward said to me, which has nagged away at me for over a year now.
Do you have insiders in Rome?
Yes.
Who are members of the Priory?
Yes.
Did the Vatican know that?
Yes.
Why do they not kick them out?
Some people you can't remove.
Can you uphold and believe in the doctrine and be a member of the Priory of Zion?
You can appear to believe in the doctrine and uphold the doctrine and be a member of Zion.
I take it we're not going to be able to interview one of these people.
You didn't ask.
Can we interview one of them?
I will do my best.
Is it possible that there's a small circle at the heart of the Vatican who've always known about the marriage, the children, the bloodline, and yet maintained their doctrine? Is this group the real Priory of Zion? And if I'm right, then they know who's in that tomb, and they know where it leads to. And whatever they say publicly, they seem to want all of us to know it too.
If you ask any members of Zion, they will always tell you that things are always unfolding according to plan, because they always are.
I would like to suggest to you, and let's just say I'm only I'm only thinking out loud. Yes. The real power behind this, the real investigative, is in fact the involved people in the Roman Catholic Church. They are the ones that are driving this whole issue. There have always been people like me there at the top level of the Roman Catholic Church. The truth hides under its own opposite. Yes. Clearly, the fact that Christ has children, that it wasn't the story of resurrection. The truth is different. There is no point in revealing truth to people until they're ready. People sometimes they want to buy a lie more readily than the truth. The church, plain and simply, the Catholic Church is the prelude of the old divine.
I don't know if they had any children, but
I think Jesus was a man, and yeah, he could fall in love with her. So I think it's really a possibility.
If he was married to her, then that would like blow everyone's mind, saying like, well, everything we believed up until so far isn't really true, or is just a farce.
The Gospels were written centuries later. Gospels is not real history.
I think that it would be a positive thing, and I think it would make the whole concept of Jesus and religion more accessible to the world, especially the world that we live in today.
If there was proof one day, it would not shock me at all. It would just validate probably what I kind of knew intuitively.
I think it'll be a great thing that he was married because he was a man while he was on earth. So and he found someone that he loved, and they were together, and they loved each other, and there's nothing wrong with loving somebody.
Married? And Jesus married? That's crazy.
Don't believe it. Don't buy into it.
Not at all. I think if it were true, it would have been in the Bible.
What? No. That's crazy. Yeah.
It will have a very big impact on the world. I think a lot of people that are very religious will sort of start doubting what the Bible says and start doubting what they feel.
I think it would be very controversial, but I guess just basically the truth is the truth, and people should pursue the truth above what they wish the truth was.
If Jesus and Mary are found to have been married, I think it will greatly upset traditional sections of the Catholic Church, because it will mean they will have to rewrite history.